Yes, welcome in one and all. This is the Full 10 Yard, the betting podcast. We are looking ahead to week 7. Joining me as always, Adam Wolford, Liam Horsley. I am Timothy Monk. I am your host. Glad to have you all with us. And yeah, week 7. I can't quite work out if the last couple of weeks have actually gone quite slow, but I don't know if it's because it's the London games and it makes the Sundays seem a bit longer or whatnot. Or maybe that's just me going nuts because, yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? Adam, good evening to you, sir. How you doing?
I'm all right, thank you, mate. Yeah, busy one today, but got here for this, and yeah, I don't think the season's flown by, to be honest. But yeah, it's been a crazy one so far, and last week obviously was shocks aplenty.
Shocks are plenty indeed. Yeah, no unbeaten teams, which, yeah, a couple of shocks there, making it very hard for the punters. Liam, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, all good, thanks, mate. Cheers. And I think last week was our second best week of the season in terms of number of picks that were right. Not the best odds, but number of picks that were right. So maybe we're on an upward trajectory like Adam's Bengals. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, 2 out of 6 for me, but I did have Zay Flowers 11-5 anytime touchdown scorer. 3 out of 6 for Adam, and then 3 out of 6 again for Liam. So 8 out of 18 altogether. But as always, fellas, plenty of room for improvement. We do start off as we always do. Thursday night football, even money. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence is a game time decision. So obviously watch the Lions, and if you don't think he's going to go, maybe get on. You maybe want to be getting on the Saints -1.5 or 4-5 money line. Over under 39.5 did seem a bit low when I first looked at it, but obviously New Orleans defense at home, especially if Trevor Lawrence is not playing, should be able to get the job done there. But interested to hear your thoughts, Adam, on the game.
Yeah, the listening to another podcast this week, the Saints are unders in the last 13 games they've played. Um, so not expecting a cracker, to be honest, especially if it's CJ Beathard, which frankly I think it should be. I don't know, are the Jags on bye next week? I know they've had a lot of travel and a lot of messing around these last few weeks, but obviously London 2 weeks in a row, then back to Atlanta last week, and then obviously you got Thursday night this week. So I don't believe they've taken their bye yet, and so I wouldn't be surprised if they're off next week, and then that could just be an excuse to
No,
rest Lawrence or
it's the week after.
sorry, go on.
So they got
Okay, so
one more game after
so
this before
10
the bye.
days. So yeah, mini bye for this one, and then bye week after that. It's a tough one, isn't it? With Anthony Richardson going on IR now for the Colts. Obviously the Texans look good, but that ruins the Colts season really. Obviously the Titans, I don't think they're going to do much. So, do you protect your guy for the future, or do you play him in what is a winnable game? It's a tough one for the Jaguars. I think he will miss out tonight, on a short week, but we'll see on that one. Yeah, the Saints are a frustrating team to watch. They move the ball well, but they're just not scoring the points. So arguably you could say that it could click for them and they could score 25-30. But from what we've seen so far, Derek Carr's Derek Carr. He'll do what he needs. He'll move the ball up and down the field, but he hasn't got that enough to take it to another level, whereas Trevor Lawrence does. So if he plays, and I do think the Jags win, even though it's on the road on a Thursday night, which obviously is normally a risk. But yeah, it's probably going to be a fairly tight game. I think Zay Jones is missing out again. So I've had a little mention of Tim Jones at decent odds for the Jaguars, but I don't think he got a whole lot of touches this weekend. So it is a long shot. I think he was 8-1 or 12-1 plus, um, just for a long shot, just for a bit of interest on the game. As I say, I don't think there'll be too many scores, so picking anyone to score a touchdown, I think is going to be a bit risky tonight. But yeah, I do like the boost that you've gone with, Tim. I think that's a decent price for something that's not very difficult, frankly.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, just Jacksonville obviously at New Orleans this week, and then at Pittsburgh next week before their bye. I've just noticed on the schedule that it's 5 o'clock next week, so obviously the clocks
Yeah,
go back for the guys over the pond next week. So that's always fun. I believe that they're not changing them back from this year, are they? So that could be interesting.
I think that's been delayed actually.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's a shame. What did they?
Yeah, I was looking for it recently. So yeah, it's us turning them back next week. So we get 1 week at 5 o'clock, and then I think they're back to 6 o'clock after that.
Yep, that looks to be right. I was struggling to find. Do you know what? I was going through my fantasy teams trying to find a Jacksonville Jaguars like kind of schedule. And apart from, I think I own Zay Jones, but I own no other Jacksonville Jaguar in any in in any league. But so that was a longer search than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, I think the thing for me in this game, even if CJ Beathard is playing, I'm not necessarily too sure that with the run defenses on either side, I think it'll be fairly pass happy in this game because I don't think there's going to be a lot of success on the ground. New Orleans obviously should be getting Jamal Williams back. Also, that's obviously worth noting. He's missed the last month or so with a hamstring, I think it was, wasn't it? He's been on IR, but he's designated to return. But I think obviously with someone like Beathard coming in, he's someone that is just going to be a bit of a gunslinger anyway. So and I think that's just the way you're going to kind of have to attack New Orleans because I don't think many of the teams. It's going to be a lot of dump offs to Alvin Kamara for the Saints, and Travis Etienne looked really good last week as well. So I think if the running backs are going to do any damage, I think it may be in the passing game, third downs that they kind of get all that done there. So I think there'll be quite a lot of attempts in this game. But yeah, so I'll probably go overs in this one, regardless of if Trevor Lawrence is active or not. But the bet I've gone for is a Sky Bet boost. It's each team to score points in the first quarter at 9-4. It is a boost. I can't remember. I think it's a boost from 6-4.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a really good. I haven't got any stats to back anything up for either for Thursday night football or for these teams in particular. But I just feel, in the grand scheme of things, to both score points, and that obviously includes field goals or safeties or whatnot. But I thought 9-4 was a bit big. But yeah, obviously, if Trevor Lawrence isn't playing, give me the Saints on the money line and handicap and whatnot. But yeah, again, I'm not quite kind of sure what condition Trevor Lawrence will be in, but I think I'll take the Saints to win this regardless, because I just think at home they're just on a short week against either a banged up Trevor Lawrence or a CJ beat hard. I think the Saints are probably in a good one here. What have we got? Each team to score 15 plus points with evens. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I would say initially my first thought when I saw 39.5. Did think it was a tiny bit on the low side, so I don't know if it's baking in the fact that we're getting CJ Beathard, but yeah, give me the overs, give me the Saints on the handicap, and let's say yeah, each team to score points in the first quarter. 9-4 is my favorite bet. Liam, your thoughts on Thursday night football?
Yeah, the line that places is now 2.5 as well, which is weird because there was talk, obviously, now that he's not certain to go. He's going to test it out one more time, but there's optimism that Trevor Lawrence is going to play. So I'm surprised the line is shifting out that way, but that's probably just because people betting on him not being able to either start the game or finish the game. But for me, my best bet, I've gone with brackets on our little sheet if Trevor Lawrence actually plays. Jags money line, which is 5-4. That might actually, as the line gets it up there, that might actually improve. But for me, yeah, if he plays, they're just such a better team than the Saints. My co-host on our podcast says that the Saints are the most boring team to watch in football, which I don't think is probably wrong after last week. And I just think, yeah, if he's 60-70% healthy and just is clever, manages the game well, doesn't use his legs and just throws it, like you said, against this defense, that's one of the best run defenses in the league. I think that they'll be able to win the game. I just don't think Derek Carr, and he does have these games where he'll just have a 350-yard passing game. They'll score 4 touchdowns. He has a couple of them every single season, but more often than not, he doesn't. So for me, I think if Lawrence plays, then that's the bet. If he doesn't play, I'm on your line of thinking. I do like the over 19.5 receiving yards for Travis Etienne, which is the Chiefs game. His line was 26.5, and he's had one really big game in the air as well since then. So it is odd that this line is 19.5. I don't know if that's because of the Saints defense or what, but yeah, I think if Trevor Lawrence plays or if he doesn't play, there'll be so many dump offs to the running backs in this game that I just think 19.5 is a good line. And then another similar one to Adam, I think it's Brenton Strange, their backup tight end. He was 10-1 somewhere that I looked earlier. Bit of a kind of big body red zone guy that if Trevor Lawrence plays, I'm happy with. But if he doesn't, that's the guy that the backup QB will throw a lot to in practice because that's the backup tight end. So, yeah, I quite like those odds as well as a bit of a Thursday night long shot.
Dominic D, thank you for watching. He's hoping Nathan Rourke gets a game. Who knows? It's Thursday night radio after all. But Yeah, there we go. Let's move on then to Sunday Night Football. We have an absolute belter potentially on the cards as the Miami Dolphins 2.5-point underdogs travel to the Kelly Green Philadelphia Eagles, 2.5-point favourites there. So 4-6 on the line, 5-4 for the Dolphins. Over under here, 51.5, which again leads it to potentially be one of the better Sunday Night Football games because we've had some absolute stinkers so far through 6 weeks. I quite fancy the overs in this one. No surprise there. I think. I mean, I tend to always. I don't know if it's just because I'm anti-Cowboys, despite being a Cowboys fan, but I always seem to pick either the Eagles on the handicap or an over or something like that. I don't know if it's because I'm just trying to subconsciously jinx them, but I think regardless, I think both teams are going to put points up here. Over 51 does appeal for me. I'll probably take the Eagles on the handicap. No surprise. I'm like Jack on the Dolphins, aren't I? Maybe I'm like. I've been like possessed by the ghost of Jack. Of Jack and just going for the Dolphins every week, but for the Eagles every week. But who knows? Liam, your thoughts on this game? Should be a good one.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. Yeah, I might stay up for this game as well, which is not. There's not been many of them on Sunday night that don't involve your own team, to be honest. Yeah, my best bet straight off the bat, Eagles -2.5. For me, if it gets to 3, I'm not one of the people that's like, if it's 3, I'll just take my money back for a push. I'll probably find something else. I just don't enjoy us betting on 3 as much. But
you don't like getting your money back.
No, I want more than my money back. That's what I need. Yeah, so Eagles -2.5. Eagles -5 is 6-4. And I found a funny stat earlier. They've won more games by between 5 and 8 points than any team in the NFL in the last 2 seasons. So I don't mind -5, 6-4, just because that covers you if they win by 6 with the going for 2 and all those sort of things later in the game. But yeah, I just think this is similar to the Bills game for me. I'm not a believer that the Dolphins can win the Super Bowl. Just think they're slightly below those tier of teams, even though the offense is really exciting to watch. And I just think the Eagles will run it on them a lot in this game. So I will be looking for some overs on their running backs and Jalen Hurts overs as well. But yeah, I think the best bet is Eagles -2.5. But I hope we get overs, like you said, because it should be a fun game.
Yeah, we definitely due one. Like I say, I think out of the 4 units, the Miami Dolphins defense has certainly been the most vulnerable. I know the Philadelphia Eagles offense hasn't played that great, or they're not that clicked. But you know, if the Kelly Green uniforms aren't going to get you cooking, I don't know what will. So, Adam, your thoughts?
Yeah, the Dolphins have conceded the 7th most points in the league so far, and they've played no one. The Chargers are the only decent team they've played all season. Obviously the Bills.
They're not even decent.
Obviously, yeah, and the Chargers are 2 and
Dallas
4,
Cowboys beat them,
which I did actually want to have a rant about, but you know, I'll leave that for now. Yeah, they've played obviously the Patriots, Broncos. Broncos have got one of the worst defenses in the league. Giants, obviously the Bills, and then the Panthers last week. Admittedly, they have been destroying the bad teams, which is the sign of a good team. But the one good team that they played, they got comprehensively beaten in. So yeah, I'm on the side of both of you guys. I'm on the over because obviously the Dolphins' offense is incredibly good. It's tough to argue with that. But yeah, they do concede a ton of points, so I'm on the overs, and I do think the Eagles are quite considerably a better team overall. Obviously, I don't know what the news is with Lane Johnson. I should have looked that up.
I think he's good to go. He's fine.
Yeah, he's going to play.
Okay, nice. So that doesn't affect them too much. Yeah, last week was a bit of an anomaly for them. Obviously, Jalen Hurts had a pretty terrible game. I think around the NFL suggested that the Eagles should have won by 8 if things went to plan like normal. Obviously, as I say, it was a bit of a shit the bed game for them. Tyreek Hill will probably score. He'll probably have 125 yards. AJ Brown will probably score and have 125 yards. That's the way that both those guys have been all season. I don't fear the Dolphins defense at all. So yeah, I fully agree with you guys. It should be a hell of a game to watch. I don't think I will be up for it, but my intention would be to be somehow alive for that one because Bengals aren't playing this week, so I don't really need to watch anything else.
I think I mentioned actually last week on the pod, I said the only way that the Eagles lose that game against the Gents is they maybe look ahead to this game. So maybe they looked ahead to this game and maybe they'll just, maybe. But there we go. Tyreek Hill obviously it would be at the head of the betting for Offensive Player of the Year. Monday Night Football presents another one. If he is fit to go, it's San Francisco 49ers traveling to Minnesota to face the Vikings. 6.5 point favourites are the 49ers, 1-3 on the money line, 5-2 if you want to take the Vikings, who have had a wretched start to the season despite playing well. They say 1-score game karma coming back to bite them. Over under here is 43.5. Adam, Vikings got a chance?
Vikings are yeah, they're the Chargers of the NFC, aren't they? They look like they should be able to do stuff, and they lose games. They're a very frustrating team to watch. To be fair, I think they would have lost this week if it wasn't for Justin Fields dislocating his thumb. I obviously I can't prove that, but even the backup for the Bears moved the ball all right after a fumble six with his first snap in the NFL. But yeah, the Vikings obviously are a frustrating team. They do everything right, but it just, as you say, 1-score karma this year. They won a lot of 1-score games last year, and those things do tend to even out, and that's happening this year. The 49ers depends all on the health of McCaffrey, Debo, Trent Williams, the various people who left the game last week. Obviously, last week was a complete slog in poor weather against, I think I mentioned last week, probably the best defense definitely in the AFC, possibly in the league. And the Browns proved that they can hold it with anyone, frankly, regardless of how terrible their offense is. So, yeah, for the 49ers, I think I do like them to cover the 7.
How many
despite the
players
fact
in
that
San
Vikings-
Francisco would have to be out for you to be worried about the 7 points? Say you've got McCaffrey,
I mean-
Williams, Debo, and dog's on the bed. Debo and whoever else. How many of those players, or how depleted would the 49ers have to be for you to say, "Oh, I'm leaving San Francisco alone"?
I'm not too fussed about Debo, to be honest. Trent Williams, not that bothered either, because the Vikings don't have a great pass rush. But Christian McCaffrey is the best player in the league. He's like the first quarter last week, he looked fantastic, and then I don't know when he got his injury. I know obviously he went out and then came back and then went straight back out. But yeah, the first touchdown or the first drive, his 40-odd yard run down the field and then his touchdown, he looked unstoppable. So him being out would be a big miss. And as I say, like the Vikings do tend to keep it close. If the referees played to the rules and didn't just suggest putting the helmet back on, then the Chiefs game obviously would have been a lot closer than 8 points. So yeah, the Vikings do tend to keep
Gotta get
games
me
close.
angry.
So yeah, I my bet for this one is 49ers minus 6.5. I'm rambling a bit, so that's why I'm going. However, I do appreciate that the Vikings do tend to be quite tight games.
Yeah, the bet I went for in this one is San Francisco to score 27 or more points for 10-11 with Sky Bet. Obviously, yeah, again, that's kind of Christian McCaffrey dependent, and but I just think, like I say, you can just plug a lot of players into that offense. Christian McCaffrey aside, and they're just a motor, and they'll just keep churning out points. So that was kind of my bet. Not quite sure. Again, probably if we had to give me gun to my head, I'd probably go overs in this one as well. Liam, your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I've gone the same as Adam for best bet. San Francisco minus 6.5, which you can get definitely on Sky and 888 Sport as well. So I know the 7's out there somewhere, but yeah, make sure you get a 6.5 because it feels like a backdoor cover Kirk Cousins sort of game. And I think last season I would have picked the Vikings because I pick Kirk like every week. So I'm trying to learn from my my errors here. I think if this line was the same and Justin Jefferson was playing, I'd stay away and go on the overs. But yeah, I just don't think they're going to be efficient enough in the red zone. And Kyle Shanahan's having a great year calling plays. I'm not actually as worried about CMC for this game, to be honest. I'd be a bit more worried if Trent Williams doesn't play just because they have got a terrible backup and starting offensive lineman next to him. So I'd just be a bit worried that the Vikings would just blitz him to death and Brock Purdy would make a few mistakes. But I think if Trent Williams plays, then 6.5 is a good bet. I have found a fun one as well, which is normally 8-11, but it's evens for some reason. Field goal miss by either team is evens, and I just can guarantee you the Vikings are going to miss field goal because they just do that stupid stuff in every single game. Like Adam said, they are the Chargers of the NFC. So yeah, I quite like the yes for evens to miss a field goal and cheer for that on Monday night.
Lovely stuff. Right, before we get into Sunday, let's have a quick recap then of the Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night football. Thursday night football, I've gone for each team to score points in the first quarter, 9-4. Adam's gone unders, 10-11, and Jags money line brackets if T-Law plays. For even Sunday night football, overs for me and Adam, Philadelphia -2.5, but I think we're all on the kind of the same lines with that one. Monday night football, over 27.5 points for San Francisco for yours truly. And again, a lot of similar thinking in prime time this week, which is probably a bit of a scary thing, but yeah, -6.5 there for the 49ers. Okay, let's get into the handicaps for Sunday then. If you're watching on YouTube or wherever it is video enabled, they are scrolling along at the bottom of the screen there. Adam, your best spread for week 7?
Yeah, Atlanta Falcons on the road isn't great. Desmond Ridder was terrible last week. Admittedly, that probably means he'll have a decent week this week. But I'm going for the Bucks -2.5 at home, hosting them. The Bucks have got a very, very good defense, which they've shown week in, week out. And if Baker can get it together on offense, then they should be able to beat the Falcons by 3. Falcons are a frustrating team to watch. They obviously Bijan, they drafted him quite high, and they just don't seem to involve him as much as they should. He's still getting mixed in and out with Algier. Ridder was shambolic last week in the second half. The 3 interceptions he threw were they were worse than college stuff. Frankly, it was his first home defeat in his entire career, from NFL and college. But yeah, his road record hasn't been fantastic, and frankly, I don't really rate the Bucks, but I think my desire for the Falcons to be something has disappeared as well now. So Baker and Mike Evans, I think, should be able to do enough to win by 3, frankly.
Liam?
Yeah, so on the sheet I put Browns -2.5, but now it's come out that Deshaun Watson's playing. It's 3.5 now. It's two,
All right.
not,
I thought you were going to say I'm going to go.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. No, it's 3.5 now. So in theory, I'll still leave it as 2.5 if you can find it anywhere.
It's 3 on Bet365 if you want it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, don't like those field goal, don't like those pushes, but
You did say
yeah, I just think the defense is so good against Gardner Minshew that they are just going to struggle offensively for the Colts. I think there's probably more chance that the Browns could potentially gain points on Colts drives than Colts do on Colts drives. So yeah, that's
one.
A
fun match, mate, wouldn't it?
That would be a fun match, mate. Yeah, Sky Bet
Indianapolis offense points versus Cleveland defense points. Handicap line.
So yeah, that'd be one. And then I did look. There's a couple others. So if you don't want that one, the Raiders versus the Bears. Raiders -2.5 was one that I like, just because of who's playing quarterback for the Bears. The Raiders are 3-3. They could win this game and go to a winning record. Most of us think they're a pretty bad team, but they're clearly better than the Bears, led by I can't even remember his name. But yeah,
it's probably going to be Hoyer for the Raiders, though.
Yeah, still though.
Yeah, but you can do whatever you want to the Chicago Bears defense, and like the Bears offense will give you point. It's similar to like the Indianapolis Colts and Cleveland. Like just do a Las Vegas Raiders defense points versus offense for the Bears.
Devontae Adams catches versus all of the Bears. But yeah, I just think they'll win that. And then I don't normally like 7.5s, but Bills -7.5. I just think they're going to win that by 2 touchdowns. Matt Jones or Cunningham or Zappi or the ghost of Tom Brady, whoever plays, I just think they're going to kill them by 2 touchdowns. So yeah, there's a couple of others that I like.
Yeah, there's not a lot I like this week, but the Buffalo one was. I've got 8.5 on the ticker there underneath. But yeah, certainly Buffalo is. The more I look at that, the more I think New England are just done, aren't they? They're cooked on defense. They haven't even got the 2 main pivot guys, the pillar guys on defense to grind out any kind of low scoring, not necessarily victories, but close games. But I went for Green Bay -1.5, but I don't really like a lot of these lines. But I just think Denver are absolute crap. So despite I don't care if they're at home, Green Bay obviously. Did Green Bay have their bye last week, or was it the week before? I can't quite remember, but I think it was last week their bye, wasn't it? So
last week, I think.
Yeah, I'm not. I've kind of cooled a bit on Jordan Love as the season's gone on. He's not impressed me very much, as seemed to have gotten worse week by week. But I think Denver are in absolute disarray, and I think this could be one of those weird games that doesn't. Yeah, obviously it's 1.5 on the handicap, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Green Bay win by 20 or something. But and just a capitulation of people. Yeah, when you've got teams that are saying, oh yeah, we might have some people out being traded away or being released or whatever prior to the trade deadline on defense, and Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. Jerry Jeudy, I don't know what world he's living in at the moment, but Cortland Sutton's always on the trade block apparently, and Javonte Williams has barely done anything at running back, and Jaleel McLaughlin's obviously come in, but Denver. Long story short, Denver are an absolute mess, and I think Green Bay are a better team, and I think should be maybe more of a pick'em. So, sorry, not more of a pick'em. Should be a bit more points towards Green Bay. So give me Green Bay -1.5 away to Denver. Okay, total points. One thing I did notice on total points, again, they're scrolling along at the bottom of the screen for those that are watching. There's a lot of total points starting with number 3 this week. And I know it's historically, the amount of unders that have been through, 6 weeks of the season, amount of under, I think it's like 60% unders or something stupid. Maybe even more than that. But there's a hell of a lot of games starting with the 3. And I know that me and you, Adam, you managed to find 41 somewhere, but unders, screaming unders in the Indianapolis-Cleveland game.
Yeah, it's 41 on Bet365 at the moment. So I assume that line's gone up from earlier. Seems like there's been a lot of movement on everything today since you did the tickers, to be honest. So obviously it's been a big money day for everyone. Yeah, under 41 for Colts versus Browns. The worry is, I guess, what we mentioned earlier is the Browns scoring defensive points. But we've seen that, last week the Browns defense played probably the best team in the league coming into that game. Admittedly, there was injuries which obviously hurt them, but yeah, actually, yeah, of course it'll be the Watson news, which is why it's bumped up a 1.5, yeah, which I don't particularly agree with. I don't think Watson's very good, so he's obviously probably better than PJ Walker, but yeah. So yeah, I think that it's going to be a defensive battle on one side of the ball. I think there's probably going to be a team in that game that only scores 10 points. It could quite easily be both of them. So yeah, I just think under 41 I thought was far too good to not take, and quite like the under in the Chiefs versus Chargers game. I think we need to get our head around the fact that the Chiefs are now a defensive team, with the lack of talent on offense really hurting them. Although they brought back Hardman this week, which at least gives Holmes a familiar target, even if it's one who only gets 3 targets a game. So yeah, I quite like the under in that one. Although Chargers and Chiefs games could easily be 35 points each, which is why I've avoided it from my bet. But yeah, best bet for me and you, Tim, is under 41 on Colts v Browns.
Yep, Liam.
My best bet is over. It's 42 on one place, but you can get 41.5 as well for the push for the Lions and the Ravens game. Yeah, 2 very, very good teams, 2 very, very good offenses as well. Lamar's playing extremely well. If his receivers wouldn't drop as many passes as they did in 2 of the games, then he'd probably have by far the best numbers in the league. I just can't believe the line is this. Ravens defense is playing really well, but they're not great in the red zone. That's kind of their only weakness.
Oh, don't even start talking to me about Baltimore Ravens in the red zone last week. Jesus Christ.
But yeah, I think this game is going to be 50 plus. I think that 2 of the best teams in football, 2 Super Bowl contenders. So yeah, that was my over. Yeah, I think it'll be a high scoring game. Lamar's playing really well, and Lions offense is always good. And Amon-Ra should be healthier. Jameson Williams back for another week now after scoring his touchdown last week. So yeah, I think that'll be over. I didn't hate the over as well in the Falcons-Bucks. There was only really 2 lines I liked the whole week. And I think that's 37.5 in places for that one. And even with Ridder playing, Arthur Smith seems to somehow score 20-odd points in most of the games they play. So yeah, I do think Falcons-Bucks will probably go over 37. I was surprised it was that line. I almost think, is there some weather that I don't know about for it to be?
I've just brought NFL weather up, and there's 22. Well, obviously it's be Thursday evening, but 22-mile-per-hour winds potentially at Baltimore. So I don't know if that's got anything to do with that, but things can change. It's no rain or anything, so it's not going to be a rainish game. Doesn't seem to be any other Patriots game, so maybe some stuff going on in the northwest, because Eagles is 20 mile per hour projected winds. But like I say, we're Thursday, so keep an eye on that. But
yeah, so yeah, over Lions Ravens. I don't mind over Falcons Bucks game as well.
Yeah, again, obviously with a lot of 30s, I think similar to what we were saying. I think Chicago Vegas could potentially no. I'm not talking myself into the over there. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do
Good
it.
decision.
Yeah, no, just sometimes just shut up is the best way to go about things. Yeah, once again, obviously, as you know, if you've been tuning in over the last couple of weeks, Thursday evening is not a great time to get touchdown scorers. They kind of prop up around now, but so it's no good when you're doing your prep Thursday afternoon. So Kenneth Walker would be my touchdown scorer. Seahawks have the easiest running back schedule this week, obviously against Arizona. I think they'll score a lot of points, and Zach Charbonnet's got a bit of a niggle as well. I think he was out. He didn't practice on Wednesday, so Kenneth Walker is a candidate for 1, 2, or 2 plus, or maybe even a hat trick or something. It just feels like a blow up. 8 to 11 for Walker. Yeah, I'll take that. Also, Rashee Rice. I know they've just signed Harmon, but Rashee Rice 5 to 2. I know Liam loves a Kadarius Toney. He's not gone for that this week. Spoiler alert. But yeah, Kenneth Walker's kind of a nap. But and also one thing I kind of thought about this afternoon when I was looking. Obviously, we've got quite a lot of running back kind of injuries, and Adam, you'll probably talk about the Rams running backs not being the greatest of prices. But yeah, I feel like with all the running back kind of injuries this year, it's been a bit difficult to kind of get any value on those. And even if you've gotten a bit of value, they've not necessarily really come in. Guys like Arizona Cardinals or Baltimore Ravens with Keaton Mitchell maybe last week potentially or whatnot. But yeah, obviously we've got a prime example of the Rams this week. You've got more running backs than people do have them on their fantasy teams. But again, none of them are really over 12 to 5, Adam.
Yeah. That was just the prices I found about 365. But yeah, Zach Evans was the biggest price, 12 to 5. I think Royce Freeman was 6 to 4. And Henderson was around that as well. It was pretty shambolic, frankly. It was obviously
we've got Christmas to pay for, guy. Bookies, come on, just give us something.
It used to be the easiest thing in the world to focus on picking backup running backs when you thought that people were going to be injured, but obviously it's become a more well-known sport over here now, and the bookies have realised that hang on a minute, people are betting on this thing, and we need to be a bit tighter. So yeah, unfortunately, we are a bit screwed on it. Yeah, I'll go on to my one for the week. Romeo Dobbs is the guy I've gone for the Packers. Obviously playing the Raiders, wasn't it? No, it wasn't the Raiders. Sorry, Broncos, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the Broncos defense is a team I want to be just going against every single week. It is a steaming hot mess of poop at the moment. And Dobbs has had 8 targets in the red zone. He scored 3 touchdowns with them. They don't seem to use the tight ends that much in the red zone. AJ Dillon can't get it done on the ground. Aaron Jones is probably injured again because he generally has been this season. So you're looking at Jaden Reed or Romeo Dobbs. Dobbs was 21 to 10, and that was a decent enough price for me to go for him. Jaden Reed, I think, was 11 to 4ish, so a little bit bigger, but yeah, I'm going for Dobbs on that one. And I did have a fleeting mention of Trey McBride for the Cardinals, 17 to 2. Just because I thought that was a pretty big price, and he seems to be doing better in that offense than Zach Ertz does. Although having checked, they did have the same amount of targets last week. It seems like McBride was doing more, but it seems like they're fairly well split. Sorry, Tim.
Yeah, you managed to slip Dobbs in there because when I was doing the graphics, so you only had Trey McBride in there, so I'm not sure when you slipped that one in. So the graphics going to be wrong, but never mind. We'll move swiftly on to Liam.
Yeah, I decided to go away from my guy Kadarius Toney because he seems to score the week where I don't pick him. So yeah, I have love for him. I won't pick him this week. I've gone for Sam Laporta from the Lions. Obviously, I've mentioned I think that'll be a high-scoring game. 2 really good offenses. Ravens probably going to be healthier on defense, but they still have some knocks. So we'll see if people end up finishing the game or not. Sam Laporta's playing really, really well. Obviously, kind of all-time level tight end numbers for this number of weeks into his career. I loved him in the draft. Jared Goff loves big targets in the red zone. I didn't mind Josh Reynolds either. I just decided to go with Sam Laporta. But yeah, for this game, I didn't mind Josh Reynolds at similar odds as well. But I think Sam Laporta's playing really well, and he's back fully healthy, practice this week. So yeah, I picked him to score against the Ravens.
Yeah, they've not got anything up, and well, I'm on Sky Bet at the moment. They haven't got anything receiving yard wise for Laporta yet. Gus Edwards under 44.5 rushing yards, I thought was go the under there. That seems a bit high for him, but anyway.
Yeah, they're like bottom 3 in the league for rushing success rate on first down. If it's not Lamar Jackson running it.
Yeah, there's also more the Detroit Lions rush defense is pretty decent as well, and Gus Edwards doesn't. He's not as if he has 90% of the snaps, is it? So Justice Hill generally in there, and like I say, Lamar runs as well. So that one I was just looking at random receiving yards and rushing yards, and that kind of stood out. So yeah, under in that one. There we go. I think that's it, fellas, isn't it? Anything else anyone wants to bring up?
Travis Kelce to score a brace with Taylor Swift watching against the team he always scores touchdowns against. 7-2 is something I've already bet. So yeah, he always scores against the Chargers. So, but they know that because his anytime odds are awful now. They're 8-11. So I've braced it.
Could have been worse.
Yeah, brace it. Yeah, it's not the worst on the day.
It was the same last week. Yeah, it was that price last week as well.
7-2 for the brace.
Sky
Bet rolling out all their Taylor Swift popular requested bets again as usual. That's going to be a common feature for them, isn't it, every year?
It is.
Oh Jesus! Here's a fun one. Was it 15-2? 1989. Austin Eckler 19 plus receiving yards and 89 plus rushing yards. 15-2.
Don't mind that.
Not against the defensive kings of the league. Kansas City Chiefs.
You got Shake It Off. Chargers to be leading at halftime. Chiefs to win 13-2.
Travis Kelce, by the way, the man, 100 receiving yards and touchdowns, 7-2.
Patience. I was getting to that. I was getting there.
Is he even money to not score again?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure this one. Why they call it 15? But was it 15? Patrick Mahomes 13, 300 plus passing yards and 3 TDs. Why is that 15? What's that got to do with 15?
What number does Patrick Mahomes wear on his jersey, Tim?
Oh, for fuck's sake, get out of that shit. That's
there you go.
15. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I think I'll watch that. I'll watch that game. I'll place all those bets and I'll listen to Sweet Caroline, and that'll be my dream evening on Sunday.
I'm surprised they haven't got like a prop on camera pans to Taylor Swift or Taylor Swift TV appearances or something. Let me just check.
I'd bet the over and I'd enjoy it.
Yeah, I'd bet the over as well.
DraftKings and FanDuel will have it. I think that's a little bit too ridiculous for British bookies, to be honest.
That's too Super Bowl proppy. That's what that is.
That's party time prop.
Footy accumulators will probably back it.
Yeah, probably. Yes. There we go. Right, let's get out of here. 36 minutes in, and we're talking about Taylor Swift, so we don't need to do that. And I don't know. Is anyone gone to see that concert? The concert in the cinema?
Well, we've got tickets for the actual one, so we're not spoiling it by going to the cinema. We're waiting till I meet Travis Kelce next year in Dublin whilst wearing his jersey. That's the plan. So.
Got it all worked out. Lucky boy. There we go. Right, let's get out of here. Good luck with all your bets. Thanks for joining us, everyone. If you want to obviously catch us on social media at Full 10 Yards for us, at Touchdown Tips for Adam, and at _Liam Horsley for Mr. Taylor, Mr. Kelce Swift fan. I don't know what we're going to call you. You have to change your handle now to Kelce Swift at Kelce Swift or something. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. Good luck with all your bets. Please gamble responsibly, and we will see you next week for week 8.